Everyone, today we have Hourglass and we have Lisa Eldridge. I've actually recorded this video. This is like the second time I've recorded the video, and I'm going to splice in some things from the first video that I recorded, but I went back and I realized I recorded it when I was on the brink of a migraine. Never record when you're on the brink of a migraine, because there's some things that I talked about in that video and they're great, and there's other like pieces that I left out entirely. So I'm gonna sort of splice the two together and make sure that you have all the information that you need. If you're interested in the Hourglass palettes or the new Lisa Eldridge Liquid Silk Shadows or the new eyeshadow palette called Fawn. It's a neutral lover's dream, I will tell you that. So I did pick up one of the Hourglass palettes, and the one that I picked up was completely based on nostalgia. This is the Barneys New York palette. It is, it's an homage to Barneys New York, and there's a Barneys New York pop-up in New York. Unfortunately, I will be in New York like 2 weeks after it closes. So if you're not familiar with Barneys, Barneys was a New York institution, and the stores, they had some side-outlet stores throughout the country, including one here in Boston that I absolutely loved. And they closed, you know, a number of years ago. And when I saw that Hourglass was doing this, I was like, well, I have to get it. It is exactly the same as the Elephant palette. I see absolutely no difference. The only difference is the fact that on the back, the names are slightly different. For the Elephant palette, it says Metallic Strobe Powder, Beaming Strobe Light. And in the Ambient palette with the Barneys New York, it says Highlighter, Beaming Strobe Light. But it is exactly the same. There is no difference, as you can see by the video. Hourglass makes great products, great powders. I have always loved their powders. I just don't particularly like the palettes. And the reason I don't like them is because I don't like having multiple face products in one palette. When I put on a bronzer or a blush, I don't want to have to be concerned about something next to it. That is a personal issue. That's something that I don't like. There's a lot of people who would have absolutely no problem. They'd be like, whatever. So it's just me. It's just me. But the powders, the actual product that's in here, absolutely excellent. There's no reason that if you don't mind the fact that they're all in one, palette, that you wouldn't purchase this. I will probably purchase the Evil Eye palette. As you might note, I have an Evil Eye or a Bonjour, or there's multiple names for them, depending on the country, on my wrist. And I have several around the house. I come from, on my mom's side, and actually both sides, my mom and my dad's side, Italian families, they have them as well. And I like the design, a little bit superstitious. So I'll probably buy that packaging. The Hourglass site allows you to customize, to use whatever insert you want. I haven't figured out which one I want to do just yet. So this is the Elephant palette. I'll show you the Barneys New York just so you can see that they're the same. But you can see it's a very pretty palette. A little bit pinky, but nothing wrong with that. The first, going here to here, we have the finishing powder in dim light, which is pretty ubiquitous. It's in a lot of the palettes. Finishing powder soft light, the metallic strobe powder, that's the beaming strobe light. We have the bronzer in lustrous bronze light, the blush in iridescent coral, and the blush in radiant rose. It's a very pretty palette. When the elephant, what was it? The elephant, lion, and tiger, whatever it was, came out, I liked them then. So it's not, it's not like I don't like it. It's just I tend not to reach for it because, as I've said, I don't like having them so close to one another. If it's a product that I use a small brush for, like an eyeshadow, then absolutely, it's what I tend to go for. But if it's a face palette where I often use a very broad brush, it's just not something I like. So if you have the Elephant palette, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. There is no difference. Okay, so you've seen the two palettes and the fact that the Barneys New York and the Elephant palette are exactly the same. So I'm going to take the Elephant palette and I am going to show you the shades on my face. I'm going to show you me putting them on. So let's take the blushes. So let's take the coral blush, and we're going to take the coral and just kind of put it on the high points a little bit here. So if you're wondering if you need the Elephant palette, if the Barneys New York is interesting to you, but you're not sure about the color story, at least you can see it. Okay, so that is the iridescent coral. Now we're going to take the radiant rose. And again, these are exactly the same, guys. They're the Barneys New York, at least how you get it online, and the Elephant palette are the same. My understanding, though, is if you go into Hourglass, you can get the Barneys New York packaging and whatever, you know, insert you want. But I don't believe you can do that online. If you can, and somebody knows how to do it, let me know. All right, so let's take the Beaming Strobe Light, which is this shade, and we're just going to take a little bit of that. Don't need a lot. And now we're going to take the bronzer. This bronzer shade is Lustrous Bronze Light, and you probably saw as the swatches, it's a little warm for me, but it's not too deep. It's just warm. And I think I've said several times, the Hourglass powders are beautiful. I like the formula. It's not that I don't like Hourglass. It's just I don't like face products all close together because I like to use big, fluffy brushes and they don't fit. All right. The other powders that are in here are the finishing powder in dim light and the finishing powder in soft light. There's not a tremendous difference if you saw on the swatch, but one is pinkier, the dim light, which is the one that I see more often, like in different palettes. And then the soft light, which has a little bit more warmth. Soft light, dim light. So I'm going to use the soft light because I like that more. So I'm going to use that. And I'm just going to use it kind of as very pretty finishing look. I mean, I honestly do like the Elephant palette. And of course, I bought the Barneys palette. So of course, you know, I knew what it was and I bought it anyway. It's a beautiful formula. I'm not dissing that at all. The lipstick is the shade in Wave. This was the Oasis and Wave pack. It didn't have Wave, so I was like, oh, I'll buy it. I do like the Hourglass lipsticks. I just don't reach for them. Don't have a good reason for why. I think I actually did a review video not too long ago where I talked about the fact that I don't reach for my Hourglass lipsticks, even though I actually think they're quite good. I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Okay, so this part of the video, I'm going to show you Ione and Gaia on my eyelids, because this is from the other day when I recorded. So you'll see me putting these on the eye so you can see how they work. And I can tell you, these are really great basic liquid silk eyeshadows. I mean basic in a very good way. In the way that a pumpkin spice latte, at least to me, well, I don't drink coffee. What I drink is an iced pumpkin cream chai. But the point is, a lot of people will call it, quote, basic. I happen to love pumpkin, and this time of year and fall in New England, you can call it basic if you want it, but it's obviously very popular and it comes back every year for a reason. That's what these remind me of. They are really great, everyday, easy to use products that I actually think you're gonna end up using, or at least I know I will, far more than all the sparkly stuff. Now, Lisa Eldridge. So the liquid silk, here's me putting on the products in just 1 second, but let me show you the finished look, because now I have the Hourglass mascara on with it. I can tell you right now, this, and I'll use the microfiber towel, this does not move once you get it on. Yeah, so if you're looking for a matte liquid base, or you just want something quick and easy, one and done, this is the 2 shades, so you could do 2 shades. You could probably do more than 2 shades, but I think more than 2 shades it's going to start to get kind of messy. If you're looking for that, this is an amazingly good product. Like, it goes down, it's not going anywhere. I don't even know how I'm going to get it off. I mean, I'll use my Cogendo, but my point is, it's a great product. It goes on beautifully. It's super easy. You can see, really silky. I used a Makeup by Mario brush to put it on. It's an excellent product. I mean, Lisa Eldridge lately has been coming out with some of my favorites. It is a 6-month shelf life. It is 0.09 fluid ounces, made in Italy, 2.8 milliliters. I'm just seeing if there's anything else on here that I have to say just off the top of my head. I mean, there's always, you know, I'll learn more as I play around with it, but it really is, it's one of those products that is not, and this is going to sound weird, but it's not a sexy product. Like, it's not super shiny or super glossy, and the packaging is relatively simple, but this is one of those things that you'll probably use, and I'll probably use, way more than you think you're going to. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at Fawn. Fawn is the new eyeshadow palette from Lisa Eldridge. And in the video I recorded the other day when I was on the verge of a migraine, I put some of the shades on over Ione and Gaia, but you can't really get the feel of this, I don't think, appropriately unless you do it on a blank eye. So let me show you the palette. Let's do it this way. So let me show you the shades. So this is Burnt Clove, which is a matte. This is Supernaturally, which is a matte. This is White Tie, which is called Luminous. This is called Upper West Side, which is a velvet. This is Debutante, which is a satin duo. And this is Dorian, which is a luster. So what I would say is this is the perfect neutral lovers palette. I think, personally, this is a little cool and a little warm. And I'm not going to tell you that you don't have these shades, because I feel like if you have a decent sized collection, you probably have these shades. However, the formula here is excellent. I think they can be mixed in numerous ways to make different looks, warm and cool. And like the Silk eyeshadow, liquid shadows, they are the kinds of things that, frankly, most of us are going to use every day, compared to the sparkly, shiny stuff that we probably don't use that often. Most of us. Not all of us, most of us. Okay, this shade is Burnt Clove. That's the matte. This I'm sorry, this way. I apologize. This is Burnt Clove, which is the matte. This is Supernaturally, which is also a matte. This is White Tie, which is a luminous. It's absolutely stunning. This is Upper West Side, which is a velvet. This is Debutante, which is a satin duo. Does have a bit of a reflect there. And this is Dorian, which is a luster. So they are all easy to use. They go on beautifully. I'm going to do a look that I think is fairly everyday, kind of. I'm going to keep the shades a little bit lighter than I might normally, but what I want to do is show you how you can just do a very simple, easy look. And I think that's what most of us want from their makeup. Like, I think there is an inclination, especially here in social media world, that everything has to be over the top and, you know, duochrome, and everyone's talking about the latest trick to putting on your blush or sculpting your cheekbones. But most of us are just trying to get a look that looks nice and professional and is relatively easy to do. Okay, so I took, again, this shade, put it all over the lid. I'm going to take this luster shade and I'm going to take just a little bit of it and put it out here on the outer corner. Now the luster shade has like a little bit of a different feel to it. It's almost like the velvet, actually. It has a little bit more of that kind of feel, a little bit more textural. Just keeping it on the outer corners. Again, I'm just trying to make this to be a relatively easy thing to do. Okay, I'm gonna take this kind of like a chocolate brown. That's this middle shade. That's a matte as well. We're just gonna deepen up the crease a little. If you have more of a hooded lid, you're gonna wanna make sure that goes up higher on your eye so that you're creating a crease. Just look straight ahead when you apply it instead of looking down. It's one of the biggest tricks, actually. All right, so we've used this shade, this shade, and this shade. So we're gonna use this one as liner at the end. We're gonna use this shade on the eye and this shade in the corner. Now what I would tell you is the white tie shade, it packs a punch. So if you want something that's more shimmery, like more evening, more dramatic, I say evening, but it could be during the day, but just more dramatic, this white tie shade, it's dramatic. It's impressive, actually. I've done looks with it where I've used that on the eye, and I'll see if I can find the clip of that and include that look as well, so you can see how, impactful it is. But this duo is a really pretty, I think, flattering shade. It kind of reminds me of the Vendome nail polish from Dior. I don't know why, but for some reason that's clicks in my head. All right, so we're gonna take the white tie. We're just gonna put it in the inner corner. But like I said, it's a great shade. Really pretty, very impactful. It is, like, it's really nice. I'm gonna elongate the eye. So I usually do a look, not always, but I tend to prefer looks that kind of give my eye more of a rounder shape. But to give your eye more of that like cat eye, like elongated look, one of the ways to do it is to literally draw a line. That's why people, do the cat eye thing. And there's numerous ways to do this. You can do the inner corner as well and draw a line. That will trick your eye, frankly, into elongating. Now I am getting fallout from this one, but I think that's because I just didn't tap off my brush enough, so one second. Burnt clove. And just my lash line, did a little inner corner, not much. Kind of elongate, like I said, my eye a little more than I usually do. Really easy to use, really everyday friendly palette. And like I said, you can definitely deepen this up. Some of these shades are quite deep. You can make it as light or as deep as you want to. I have to say, I'm very impressed with this particular eyeshadow palette. I've already talked about how impressed I am with the formulas that she does, that Lisa Eldridge does. I do think this is a pretty basic color story, but in my opinion, basic is, some of the best things around. So I think a lot of people will really enjoy this, and I think it's a beautiful color story. I think it will appeal to a lot of folks. You probably do have shades like it already in your collection if you have a lot of shades, but I really like it. The liquid, the silks are beautiful. One and done. You can add, like I did the one on top of another one. You can definitely do that, but I think they're more of a one and done kind of thing. They'd also make a great base for anything else you want to do. The Barneys New York palette. I love the Barneys New York palette. Obviously I bought it. It is the Elephant palette. I'm a little salty that they didn't make that clearer for the folks who didn't know it, but I knew it and still bought it because Barneys, for me, it's a nostalgic thing, and I have wonderful memories, actually, of shopping there, so I'm okay with having this. And for the formula inside, I actually do think it's beautiful, and I think the powders that Hourglass does are excellent. I just don't particularly like that they're all so close in together because I use fluffier brushes for my application. The lipsticks, honestly, you don't need they're not actually on the lipsticks, it's just on this packaging. But I do like the Hourglass lipsticks. I think they're quite good. I'm still challenging myself why I don't use them more often. I don't have a good answer for you folks yet. So I'd love to hear if you're picking any of these things up, what you think of the Lisa Eldridge, if you've tried it already. I honestly think all of the Fawn and the Silk eyeshadows are fantastic. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in another video really soon.